Damn, I'm really loving this new setup. Like, oh my god. You know, the funny part about it is I've had most of this equipment for a while, but I've never used it. I don't know why. I could have, like, a long time ago, and like I could have had the dream setup I've wanted for a while. Chalk it up to me being lazy? Chalk it up to me procrastinating like crazy? Or all of the above? I don't know. Or depression. Whatever. It is what it is. I really gotta share my setup as soon as I get my desk a little bit more clean. You can't really see it because, well, everything is like low and over. So I'm not going to really show that right now. There's a lot of shit over here. So sorry about that. What's up, everybody? It's your neighborhood friendly greaser, Aaron Chavez, aka the Rockabilly Buddha. I almost said Slick McTrick, which is my old name. I don't go by that anymore. It's Rockabilly Buddha. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite camera lenses that I've been using for my Fuji XF2S. Shit, what did I do with that? See, this is what I was talking about. I'm unorganized. Ah, shit. I found it. I'm talking the XF 16 to 80mm f4. This lens, seriously, I was a little on the fence when I got it, but after using it from time to time, it's a beast of a lens. It's seriously a super powerful lens. See, I got this lens a little over a year ago. I unfortunately had to trade in one of my older cameras, and I really wanted to invest in more glass instead of, you know, camera gear, which is something you should always strive for. We'll talk about that in a different video. But when I was at the camera shop, I noticed this guy was used. I can't remember for the life of me how much it was. I want to say maybe 600. I don't remember. I traded in a really good camera and got a hell of a discount on it, so I apologize. I will see if I can find some prices online here in a little bit. But yeah, I ended up trading for this lens, and the f4, I'm not gonna lie, the f4 aperture, it's not very fast, especially on a crop sensor camera. I was a little concerned. I didn't think that I was gonna be able to really use it the way that I normally use my glass. See, I used to be a prime only shooter when I first got into photography, just because a lot of the prime lenses that are out there on the market for both full frame and crop sensor are faster. You know, they got wider apertures, and it allows you to shoot at night. It allows you to shoot in low light situations. And for me, at that time, that's exactly what I needed. Going from a lens like my 35 f2, jumping into a telephoto that's only at f4, like it's fixed at f4 as like the bare minimum, which is good because I do like that it does stay consistent throughout the lens. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But yes, there was a lot of reservations as far as me wanting to grab this lens. So I did a little bit of research after I bought it. Not smart. Don't do that. You gotta research before, always. Beside the point. I started seeing other reviews online talking about how it's a very sharp lens, it's very practical. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna try this. So I ended up taking it with me on a couple of photography sessions. Starting off with, you guessed it, street photography. I just love how this lens reacts when it comes to street photography. Like, it is the focal range, that 16 to 80mm is such a great focal range. Like, I was impressed. I was able to actually get shots that I wanted, line up stuff exactly how they were in my head, and I was like, wow, okay, I see what you're doing. All right, Fujifilm, this is pretty interesting. Granted, you don't really need a fast lens for street photography. The only times you would really need a fast lens would be for like low light situations, or if you are in a dark, creepy tunnel. I don't know. That's really the only example I could come up with. But what about portraits? Good question. I had the opportunity to take this with me on a couple of different portrait shoots. Not a whole lot. Just know that because it is an f4, it does have some limitations. So if you want to get creative, like you need that shallow depth of field, this is not a great lens at all. But if you're doing something that is in like a controlled environment, like a studio or a home or anywhere that you don't really need that shallow depth of field, it's not bad as long as you have the right lighting setup, or if the area that you are in is already lit up pretty well. This is a really good lens. That slower aperture does help when it comes to bringing everything in focus. So yeah, it's rare that I was missing shots with this lens. However, because of Fuji's wonderful autofocusing system, sorry Fuji, you're letting me down. There was a few times where I did miss a couple shots. But this was before the new firmware and the camera itself. I don't believe it has anything to do with the lens. It could be, but again, I don't believe it's the lens. Okay, so street photography, awesome. Portraits, all right, not the greatest, but manageable. But what about video? See, this is the fun part. So when I originally got this lens, my main priority for this was video. I'm gonna be honest, this lens was meant to be for video, for me personally. The reason why is because I knew that it had optical image stabilization, OIS. Combine that with the like big range of, for focal length, I was like, okay, this is going to be my run and gun video hybrid shooter camera, my bob. Words are hard. I'm still trying to wake up. It is 6 o'clock in the morning. I've had the opportunity to use this lens for video for a few different occasions. Some last year, some pretty recently, and every single time I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, you can't argue that this lens isn't sharp enough. You can't argue with, really much about it, except for the aperture. The aperture, again, is the only thing that really kills it, especially for crop sensor cameras. But honestly, like with that OIS inside the lens, the image stabilization inside the XH2S, and then the boost on top of that, like you can get some pretty buttery smooth shots, especially if you put a cage on this, to add more weight. And if you have to do that, like I said, run and gunning shooting, like that whole setup, you can get some good stuff. It's pretty impressive. Unfortunately, a lot of the shots that I took more recently are very shaky, and that's just because I'm just a shaky guy, very, very jittery, probably because of all the copious amount of caffeine that I drink. It's a great lens. I really don't have much to say about it other than it's just an amazing lens. Is it perfect? No, by no means. It is not a perfect lens. Just like I don't believe there will ever be the perfect camera, I don't believe that there will ever be the perfect lens. There's just no such thing. There's going to be lenses that we love. There's going to be lenses that we're obsessed with. But I don't believe that there will ever be the perfect lens that when we buy it, nothing else matters. My only beef is the f4 aperture and how terrible it performs in low light. So, who should buy this lens? Well, I think, honestly, everybody should. If you are a Fuji shooter and you need a good telephoto lens that has a wide range of, like for a focal length, you can't go wrong with 16 to 80 millimeters. Like, this is a great vlogging lens. This is a great, like if you're doing like, I don't know, like a documentary, podcast, or you can even use it for some cinematic shots. Like this lens is not a bad lens at all. It's perfect for street photography. It's perfect for wildlife and nature. Macro isn't half bad either. Portraits, well, it's decent for portraits. I would imagine this would be great in like a studio. So if you have a studio or have access to a studio, or taking photos of somebody inside their home where you don't really need, again, you don't need the shallow depth of field. This is a perfect lens then. Nope, I said that. There's no such thing as perfect. This is a great lens then. Honestly, I feel like this beats the other one that they have on the market. What was it, the 18 to 55 kit lens? Like, this one beats it mostly just because, the f4, even though it's not great, it's fixed. Unless you change the aperture yourself, it's f4 consistently through the full time. And I love that. Alright, everybody, I'm gonna head out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that if you were on the fence of like trying to see if you want this lens or not, I hope that this video helps you out. And if it did, please give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, do all the YouTubey things. Comment down below, let me know if you got the lens or not, because I'm kind of curious to see what other people think about it. It's one of my personal favorites, so hopefully it becomes one of yours. With that being said, I will talk to you all on the next one. Like always, love, peace, hair grease. Stay greasy, everybody, and stay creating.